December. We made it through a year, which is crazy. Thinking about this, it does seem like a year ago, right? When we started talking about doing Team Cookbook. It seems like a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of change in the last year. So I feel like and it's not an easy year in real estate. So there definitely has been a lot in 2024. Um, just a quick introduction. Thank you. Like I said, when it first popped on, for those of you who are joining us, it is amazing also how many people are on the live stream and joining through. Is it Work Vivo now? Is that where you
Work
join?
work
Yeah.
Vivo.
All right.
Yeah.
Through Work Vivo. My name is Beth Nordowney. I run a team in the state of Minnesota, in Rochester, and also Minneapolis and St. Paul and Missouri.
All right. Well, I'm down here in San Diego, California, and I run a team. We cover San Diego and the Inland Empire, also known as Riverside. And we have very similar teams, been in the business about the same amount of time, a couple decades. Started when we were like children.
Yeah,
And
it's like 17, or I guess it'd be 18 to sell real estate. Yeah.
something like that. And yeah, I think our life as real estate, I think we're at a point, not I think, I know we're at a point where we're just loving being able to give back. And a lot of our dialogue and conversation is just around real estate, how to do teams, how to sell homes, how to have networking, how to have relationships, like you name it. We've been through a lot and done a lot. So I really feel like we're at a point in our life and our career that we just really enjoy giving back to you guys. So again, thanks for watching and showing up, and we're excited um, for next year too. We have a lot of things planned, and we also would love to have feedback on what you guys would like to see that we're doing or what we've done, because whatever we can do to help you grow.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So we talked about it today. I think we had a great idea of like just, I think at the end of the year, it's a really good time to do a reflection. Siri and I both think that of what worked, what's changed, what did we talk about this year? What do you guys, again, having more of a conversation if you tried any of these things or implemented them, like it says, what worked and what changed, and then looking at 2025, we have the year planned out, but I think it'd be awesome to think specifically what would be of value to you and what do you want to discuss, and then some time for Q&A, but sometimes it's just conversation throughout the whole thing.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'd say we end up like chit-chatting through the whole thing a lot of the
Yep.
times because we have people that are quiet. Alex, I think because of your pink shirt, you'll probably talk to us a little bit more today, which would be great. But whatever we can do to like really just communicate with you guys, right, and conversate. I know you're here to learn and understand, but we also want to, again, just understand you, who you are, and what we can do to help each other. Because I'm sure there's things you know that we don't know too. But we had a great year. Like we really had a fun year putting this together, and I feel like we really had a lot of value that we shared in 2024. And I mean, really, it's all about visuals for me too, to go back and actually see what we're talking about, so that you can grab something and implement that into your world of real estate. So,
I just want to add also, anyone watching the recording back, feel free to DM or message Beth and Siri. And you'll see how to do that at our last slide, but anything that you would have said during the live stream, they want to hear from you. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go take it all the way back to January.
Yeah.
And so in January, I think what we talked about is just a lot of people in the setup of like, what does a team structure look like? And we identified, what we were considering. And I think what a lot of people that in the industry consider what is a small team. When you say that, what's a medium team, what's a large team, what's considered a mega team. And the whole point of it is at the bottom, what we talked about is, you start out and it's just you, and maybe you get an assistant or you're one person. And when you get to that middle box where it says entrepreneur and there's 6 circles coming off of it, is what we see a lot of times why sometimes people may choose to stay in the small team, which is okay, is that when you get to that next level, like that one has 6, but you can imagine if you start adding those spokes off of it, it gets really complex when you are at the center of all of it and you're trying to manage 6 to 9, 10, 12 different people and communications and needs and the win is like getting to what's the picture on the right is establishing, if you want to get to those kind of, even starting at the larger side of medium and beyond, is having some sort of organizational structure. So I think with that, I won't say anything more. And for conversation, if anyone has any questions, comments about team structure, and again, that's what we talked about in January, we'd love to discuss it today as we just move on to February too. Or Siri, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious, our audience, what is, who, like, what do you have here? What are you looking to get here? Does this call to you in any sense of, hey, I'm here, I'd like to get there? Is there anything that you guys can share?
Yeah, this is Alex. I'm a realtor up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so not too far, Beth.
Mm-hmm.
I just joined Real a month ago, so this is all new to me with you guys. So I'm glad to be here, and
Sweet.
I'm eventually going to start a small team of myself up here in the north and see if it shines bright like it should. So it's good to learn from you guys what you've started with and then how it's ended up so far. So I'm excited for the rest of the slides.
Sweet. Yeah. I think this lesson for you, this one in January, Alex, would be a great one for you to rewatch because we really did break it down into steps of growth and understanding, really what your goal and your vision is, which can change. But I mean, just the big mega isn't for everyone. And sometimes, honestly, the, medium or where is it that we really show, where we shine and everybody's going to have their spot. But I think that would be a great one for you to rewatch in there. So it's good to have you here for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it is. And there is, I think there's the rules of, they call it, if you look it up even online, is the rules of 3s and 9s, I think it is, right? Where you and 3 people, probably not a lot of change. Number 4, you're going to feel like a sense of change, right? And if you start adding those numbers and compounding it, I mean, Siri and I can agree that 9 was a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
About 20 is a pain point. Like you just hit these like milestones and it's like it breaks and it has to
Mm-hmm.
be organized. So yeah, it is a great one to go back and watch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've gone all the way up to 100 agents and then went, whoa, that's, taxing, and then, pulled back, and now we're in different spots. But yeah, I definitely think that would be a great growth structure that I wish I would have had when I was growing the team. So watch that one.
Yeah, I was on a larger team with Remax Advantage Plus here in Minnesota, and there was
Yeah.
180 agents. The Minnesota real estate team
Yep.
with Ryan O'Neill, and
O'Neill. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So not
You
something
have
I
to break
want,
it
but
down. Yeah, you have to break it down into smaller groups to service people.
right,
So, I mean, that's when you get there, you let us know and we'll help you figure that out.
right. He does have that. So there's teams within teams. So
Yeah.
You have
yeah,
to. Yeah,
yeah,
you have to, or you lose culture. Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. Cool. All right. So February, we went over comp plans. And, this is another moving target because I can tell you when I first started with my team, and I'm sure you did too, Beth, we were at a very different comp structure. And I'm at the point now where I try not to change these things too much, especially the feeling of taking from the agents, right? When you go to a certain level and then all of a sudden you have to say, hey, we're changing it. They like you to go forward. With that, though, you also have to keep an eye on your P&L and what you're doing and how you're giving back to the company and where do you pull all those things. But February, we went over comp plans and ultimate ROI for both yourself and team members. So it's very important to know your numbers. And so splits, cap, no cap, can agents advance or get a better deal? What does that look like? I've had times where I've made exceptions for agents. I mean, it doesn't always go well because, word gets out or whatever it is. You have to really have a solid policy in place. And so that's what February was all about. Beth, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
I think that, I just had this conversation this morning with a team leader out of state that like, there is no, and that's what we said even in February, there is no right or wrong answer. It's going to kind of lead into March, but it really is like, what are you offering? And that's where if you have a cap, if you don't have a cap, if you have what splits, I've heard 95-5 on agent generated. I've heard 70-30, there's 50-50, there's 30, all of these things, it really doesn't matter because what it really comes down to from our position as a team leader is, what am I offering? What does that cost? You know what I mean? I'm in a business, so there should be some profit. And does that seem like a win-win for everybody? And that's it, it really is it. Like, because again, I've seen teams where they switch the profit model, but they offer less, and then they have charges, right? Like packages, where if you want this marketing, you pay X amount of dollars. If you want this, you pay for things as you go. That really, again, goes back to you as a team leader. What kind of business do you want to run? Is it like the gym, or where you get everything? You get the gym, you get the trainer, you get the classes, you get the spa, like it's all included? Or do you want to run it where it's like a baseline model where you come in and then you're going to charge for everything? So I think that one is more just understanding, like you said, Siri, your numbers. And I think that's what we said in February, is no one has it figured out. So there really can be whatever you want. It's just, like we said, the ultimate ROI is making sure that it is profitable for you as a business owner, and that it makes sense and there's value for it for a agent. I think in a large size, we definitely win, because there's that economy of scale where, we get to have these like enterprise type packages with a lot of these software companies, and the cost per seat is a lot less than in a small group. So when you look at like a Ryan O'Neill who has 180 agents, you can start to have teams in teams, because everybody wins, because now we're just like paying for a seat instead of the startup cost. The seat cost per seat is higher. But yeah, that's what all goes into this. It's a whole conversation you could talk about for a whole year, just on right, the finances of running a team and the offerings. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, as a team leader, you have to be that person that's delivering the message for change as you're moving along, because we're also in a commission-based business. So you can plan as much as you want, but there's going to be months that are plentiful and, some that are not. And so you have to really make sure that your comp plans are going to be conducive for all times of the year. And if it looks like it's trending in another direction, how do we as the team leader deliver a message of change to make sure that the company's doors stay open and the lights stay on? And so it's really, I think this training that we had was really packed with a lot of information for you guys to be able to look at it and ponder where you're at and what you need, and just, take some notes and break that down so that you can avoid as many pitfalls as we've gone through, which has been a lot of change. So that's what this one was about. Did you guys have any questions or anything that you wanted to ask us on this one, on comp plans, or what ours looks like, anything like that?
Yeah, what does yours look like individually?
Yeah. So for mine, I started the team originally with like the standard 50-50. I mean, but I was paying for everything. I mean, you name it, they'd want something on Amazon and I push a button and off it came, stuff like that. We now are in a model where we have a couple of different programs. We have a traditional model and we have an independent model. And our independent agents are in an 85-15 split. And what that means is they're still part of the team. They still get our TCs, listing coordinator, marketing department, all the fun operational things that we have, which we break down in another training. They just don't really get leads, and their expectations for showing up to meetings, they don't really have them. They need to stay up on our Slack and what we have going on. So that's an 85-15. There's no cap. And they get a $4,000 cap at Real by being on our team, because we're considered a mega team. And so they get that benefit, right? And then we have our traditional team that's an 80-20 for SOI and a 50-50 for team leads. Our Zillow Flex program is a 60-40. And that's the exception there. And then everything else is 50-50. And then they do have the opportunity to advance to a 90-10 SOI if they meet a certain GCI and unit goal for the year. And so that's how our comp plan structure is. I've had to, like Beth said, I've had to reduce different offerings in order to provide, because I tell them money in, money out. Like there's only so much coming in, then I can only provide so much. We can't be doing the Amazon spends. Like, the events kind of like consolidate a little bit. And this just seems like a pretty happy place. We've we've stayed here, and it still creates an opportunity for agents to be able to be independent if they want, to have goals, to get bigger commission and earn it. It's worked really well. And then, not to go too far, but we do have pods on our team, and they get compensated for that too, for running their pods. So that's what we have.
That's
I
awesome.
would say that, we have the traditional 50-50 split on a team generated deals, 70-30 on on agent generated. That really, I think, and it'd be interesting sometime, but Siri in California versus Minnesota, when you got to
My
look at the
prices are higher.
price point, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the dollar that I get is a lot less. Like our average is, in the Twin Cities on Zillow is 387, in Rochester's what is it, 270. So when you look at like what you're getting, that's a lot less to work with. But the bottom line is, like Siri said, is what I'm constantly looking at is what are the offerings, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And it's just dollars. It's like I have X amount of dollars every year, right? That we can from the revenue, and what are the expenses, and so then what can we offer? And it hasn't changed much for me personally. Siri and I both went through a lot, I think, in the last year, as many of us did, with the market shifting and changes, and just kind of trying to decide what we wanted. And I kind of took a path where I'm the team is the team. It's the all in. And I agree with Siri. Like there was a day too where it's like, you want that on Amazon? Let's do it. Right. Like I just made a decision. Like I just don't want to operate two things. And so it's like, it's just, you're on the team or you're not. And if you're on the team, it's like all in, and yet here's the fees. And if you're for it, great. And if you find value, which you should, great. If you don't, then it's probably not a fit. You should be at Real. We could probably do a mentor program with you. Maybe I can offer you some fractional services and partner with you and pay for that, but just kind of keeping them separate. And it just, I think for me, it was just more, that's how all of us are different. It's just that just made mental sense to me for my mental capacity of what I'm able to do. Because I think that it can get really complex. I'm not saying series is, that sounded really simple, but I can make things really complex, right? Where I could be like, okay, you have this and you have this, and then we've got this plan and this plan and this plan. And pretty soon it's like the employee side, the operations side is like, oh my gosh, my head hurts
Yeah.
trying to keep
For
this.
running CDAs and all that thing, less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah, less is more for sure. I mean, I've tried to do all that stuff too. And like I said, I've tried to like have people where I'm like, oh, come over, you're a top producer, I'll give you certain commission or, split or whatever. That doesn't
It
work
doesn't
well.
work.
That's not fair. It's not fair, and it
And
doesn't
it's not
work,
fair.
especially when word gets out. So really they have to earn it. One thing I wanted to add to our independent side is we do charge them $99 a month. They've got to have skin in the game in that program, because a lot of times they just like kind of, like they don't show up all the time, and that's okay. That's part of it, but they don't want to have to create systems. They want to have just one place where they go and they know their TCs and their listing coordinator, and they have all this fun stuff. And so we charge $99 a month. And that's kind of a cool way to get them to have skin in the game and still pay for an operating cost of an agent. It doesn't cover everything. But I'd say we have a good handful that kind of make that transition over. So that's been a cool little addition that we've added there for that.
And so all of this goes into March, kind of. I mean, it does. I'm not saying kind of, it does. And
Yeah.
and that's what we talked about, is like, there's no wrong comp plan. It's knowing your numbers. And then instead, how you make those decisions. And ultimately, as a team leader, is like, what do you want to provide? And there's no wrong answer here, too. Do you want to provide it all? Do you want to provide one, two, three of these things? I mean, and then your comp structure should obviously reflect what you're providing.
Yeah. What questions do you guys have on what do you provide? I mean, this one can go really deep too. And again, another great rewatch for you guys would be to go back and just see what we're providing, and what systems we're using. We've again, Beth and I vet these systems, and we get discounts. and we talk to the reps. We've tried systems and we've tried all this like things that we add in, and then what we realize is we then take a lot of things out. I know we're in a season of, again, less is more. So we've really whittled down what we use, and our agents are extremely happy. But I think this right here really nails it. Systems, training, leads, marketing, support culture. I think that list right there, you know, if you were to sit down and say, hey, I want to start a team, sit down and break these down into what does that mean for you? What are you offering for systems, CRM? What kind of training? When you're first starting, it's going to be you, right, Alex? It's going to be you training. I'm to the point now where I don't have to as much, thankfully. I feel like I'm on repeat all the time, and I have agents that want to, it like fuels their soul to do it now. Leads, right? What's the big one? And we obviously have Flex, and that's an important part of our system that not everybody has. But like there's plenty of things out there that you can sit down and start to provide. So I think this is a great solid list for you guys looking to start or grow.
Yeah,
And
it sounds
obviously
like
the
your
culture.
team, it sounds like your team, you've got everybody, on the right seat on the bus where everybody can contribute in their aspect to make your team successful. You got the marketer and such. So that's a good idea, or a
Yeah,
great thing to have. I
yeah.
do need a winter team to be in because I don't like the snow. So I might be in San Diego.
Hey, come on.
I'm partial to
Come
the
on up.
OB area, so
Oh.
I gotta be
Yeah,
down there.
yeah, come on down. We actually have a lot of opportunity down in San Diego with our Flex program, so they're
Nice.
expanding us pretty quickly. Yeah,
I will definitely be in
that'd be
touch because it's
that'd be
snowing
awesome.
again, and I'm done.
I'm stealing him, Beth. He's coming to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. One less person in Minnesota. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Tradition.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, it's a, yeah, it's it's really cold here. I'm not enjoying it. I was thinking the same thing today, Alex. I'm like, man, I can see it. I mean, I've for a long time, and I'm like, I do not want to spend winters here. It's miserable.
I know this is the time of year, this and January, where like my son lives in Ohio, and I'm like, haha, haha, it's like 70. It's gonna be 70 this week, you guys. Haha.
It's 15. It's balmy, like
I mean,
windy, gray.
I'm in South Carolina and it was 22 this morning. So like
Oh,
the whole country is just messed up. Like it's not supposed to be 22 here. That's not why I moved here from Maryland. So what's going on?
All right, well, everybody come to San Diego. We
Yeah.
can do some business together.
I can chime in a little bit just to share what
Yeah,
because I don't know that I've been on the call live with you guys, but I've watched a lot of the replays through the year. So
thank you.
I'm in South Carolina. I now was recently promoted to running the Living in South Carolina team. I was ops manager for the last 2 years or so. And so we've done a whole restructure in the last month, actually, based on a lot of the things you guys have just like reviewed. And so we're
Love
kind
it.
of on the cusp of that, like entering into a large team zone. We have, I think, 8 or 9 like full-time licensed agents now. We have about 5 people who are staff, like a videographer and some other things, and ISA. And so we're like right on the cusp of that. And so we recently restructured things moving into the new year. So January 1, everybody currently on the team needs to decide if they want to like stay on their grandfathered in split. We're giving them that option, which is 65-35, or move to our new system, which is a sliding scale. And so the starting point is 60-40, so it's a little less for them starting out, but then we're giving them that sliding scale. And I think they can move all the way up to 90-10 is how we have it. Yeah, there's like 4 tiers essentially for volume. And similar, like our price point in South Carolina hovers in the 300s for kind of average across the state. And so again, like the dollar not going as far definitely hits home for us. So we really had to like play with those numbers, and having you know, myself, part of my compensation is salary, and then part is commission. So having a few people with salaries and everything that we are offering the team, we really had to sit down and crunch those numbers and figure out the best way. But you know, that 60-40 is still, in our opinion, a pretty good starting split for a team that offers as much as we do. And then like nailing down our value prop and what kind of team we wanted to be. I think starting out, we have a large YouTube channel, and so we were getting a lot of buyer leads from the YouTube, but that fluctuates. And so we hit a point where agents were expecting leads from YouTube and like not getting as many as they wanted. And there was this kind of weird dissatisfaction happening. And we realized that like the kind of team we want to be is not the one that just hands out leads. We will generate leads as a team organically, and obviously those need to be serviced by agents, but we want those to be serviced by agents who are strong agents in their own right and not just waiting for business. And so we kind of really shifted our value prop to offering like support, accountability, culture, you know, team building, a lot of structure, a lot of training, and a lot of just like brainstorming together for generating their own business. And then if you are generating your own business and being successful and working hard and showing us all of the things, then you get the team leads to bulk up your business. And so for that reason, like we don't treat self-generated or team-generated leads differently when it comes to splits. It's the same across the board. You just either are on lead rotation or not, based on, you know, what you're doing yourself. And then, so again, this is not in practice yet. We're like crossing our fingers. January 1, all this goes into effect. But I think we've had a good response from most of the agents on the team, and I think it's given them a little bit of renewed energy. In the last month since we presented it to them, we have 7 listings that they went out and got like out of the blue, and we have not historically been a listing team. So knock on wood.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing,
Right
is
track.
you just have to try it. And that's,
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it sounds like you set it up for success where you made a decision, you know your numbers, you understand why you're doing what you're doing, you presented it. Everyone has a choice, and then that's the whole point Sarah and I always keep making, is these teams are fluid, right? Because then however long you run it, we're going to do it for 1 year, 2 quarters, and we're going to reevaluate, and it's going to work or it's not. But ultimately, I think the teams that are winning are the ones that are like, yeah, the agent understands you're running a business, you're taking all your capital, you're taking the risk, you're taking your time and resources and everything. You should get something for that. And then as a team leader, we want agents to win. It's not about just taking in profiting off people, right? It's really about growing something and growing people. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. That's awesome.
One of the things that I think you just said, Beth, too, and this is something to consider as you're implementing these changes, because, you know, there's a lot of thought and power that I can feel when you said that you guys really
Yes.
sat down at the board and just scratched things off, right? Because I've been there many, many times.
It was a product of me going on maternity leave and Bob having to handle it all by himself for 2 months. And I
Yeah.
came back and we were both like, this isn't working.
Right? Yeah, you're like, just bomb it, and here we go. And you scratch all this stuff out. And one thing that I heard you say, Beth, that I think that we've learned is that I have learned over time that I do bomb it. I have bombed it, right? I've been like, that's it. There is a good time and place for doing that and just really starting fresh. But what we do is we'll do like, hey, everybody, like we're doing a promotion for this quarter. We're going to do a promotion this quarter. We're going to try this comp plan or whatever it is, whatever you're changing, right? You guys did a massive change, but if it's a smaller change on the comp plan that you need for whatever purpose, and then we'll track it and we'll let them know it's just a quarterly change, and then we'll let them know if we're going to keep it or not. kind of a thing. And so there's like this ease into the process of comps and changes, and just that has been very instrumental to us when we make these changes. We also, beginning of the year, we'll do like 2024 or 2025 is typically when we'll do these changes, because it just really shows them like, okay, we're moving into a new year, and new year, new growth, new plan. If you're taking from the agent backwards, you have to then show them what are you providing forward.
Yeah.
And it's so the first of the year is always a good starting point of that.
I like that quarterly thing because after this, I wouldn't want to do like a major overhaul again or have
Yeah.
it feel like that, So having a little like trial period.
Yeah. Trial periods are great,
That's
and
good.
they'll understand, and they'll move with you if they look like it's a, hey, we're all in this together and we're going to give it a shot together and see how this
And
works.
everyone hopefully is going to win and feel like it was a good move, right? Across the, and sometimes it's not a good, I mean, I'm serious had these years too, where there's times where no, the team is the one who feels like the winner. The agent didn't really get anything, but what the win is like the team would not be there.
That's, I know. I always say that all these lights would not be on, doors would not open.
Exactly. So like there is like, I remember those years where you sat down and you look at the numbers and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not working. I'm producing and paying for all this, and I'm not, I could just be on my own and this would be better. So yeah, did the team feel like it? No, but they won because otherwise it wouldn't exist, that's okay too. But
yeah. Well, give us an update on how that goes if you need
and I'm glad
any help navigating. Yeah.
That hopefully that it makes me, and Siri, I'm sure, feel good to know that like if you're watching these replays that it was instrumental. There was key things that you were able to think about and help with your team. That's the whole point of this. So that's so awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. All right. As we moved along, we had, I think, what did we talk about next?
In April, we talked about exiting production.
Oh yeah, which I'm like back in fully. I always kind of laugh because I'm the biggest producer on the team now and having a good time. But I did exit it somewhat for a little while.
Yeah, so I think like what we talked about back in April, and I am not like I did again, my story, and I told it throughout this year on one of these cookbooks, is I came back from a big trip, and I think just kind of a deep dive into the numbers and came back to like, oh snap, we are in trouble. Just with the market shifting the last 2 years, there's just accumulation of a perfect storm of a number of events that it was kind of scary. So we had to do some layoffs. We had to cut back hours. I went and sold 5 houses so I could pay bills, right? That's the beautiful thing about being a team leader, is like when you need to jump back in, you can, and you know what you're doing, and there's money there. But I think that we talked about, Siri said, maybe again, you were 6 months later, 7 months since you kind of went back into production. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it was around March last year where I started hitting it pretty heavy.
Okay, so from March to today, when we talked about our April, how do you feel like being in production?
I feel satisfied. I feel like I'm one of those where I can't get bored and stagnant. And building out a team, I mean, I told my ops team, like, I've built you guys. You guys are here. Obviously, I pay you guys to be here and to run what I've invested, the last 5, 6 years in pretty heavily. It's time for me to go back and fill my cup up a little bit again with just humans out there. And that's why, for me, I wanted to get back in. I also, like you just said, Beth, transparently can make a lot of money selling homes, and I know what I'm doing with it. And so it just made sense for me to get back in. And I got into more design and creativity and, just kind of like refurbishing homes. So I took it a little bit further. So that was a whole other kind of side of it. We also started to learn more of the luxury side. So we got involved with that. And so that's why I got back in, but it's wherever you are, right? Like Beth, for you, you came back and, that's not an option, or it's not that it's not an option. Let me tell you that it's just, that's not where you were at and where you are. Who knows where you'll go, but we have those skills. And I also, like I said, built out the team to have people in place to run it. I'm on very few meetings now every week, and I enjoy that. will I go back to wanting to be more involved in that? Maybe. I don't know. But I think that a lot of people talk about building a team, and I want to get out of production. I guess for me, I'm back in production, and I think my agents actually respect that I'm back out there. And I always tell them I'm out here in the trenches with you guys. I know I know exactly what to talk to you guys about. And I did start to kind of lose that a little bit and understanding the market when I got out. And so, I guess my advice, just kind of full circle, is I urge you guys not to have a goal to just be out of production, to have a goal to be comfortable and to be able to have a choice in what you do. That's the goal. So.
I agree. And I think what we talked about in April was, if you are exiting, like, why? Why are you exiting, right? And is it the right thing? And how are you going to exit? And having a strategy around that. Like, again, the team leader I talked to this morning still does like 90 to 120 deals a year, which is insane. But he's wrestling with do I get out or do I stay? But that's like a whole, like, Siri, like you said, I mean, sometimes we do it in an instant because we need to. It's not, the strategy is like, right now, this needs to happen. But if you're in these phases of, like, we talked about, thinking about it, it's really like, do I want to do just sellers? Do I want to do renovations? Do I want to do investors? Do I want to do my A-list clients? Do I want to do a certain price point? Do I want to co-work deals? There's so much that I think that there isn't just in all of this. This is business. That's the whole beautiful thing about it, is like, what's the goals? What are you doing for, why? What's the strategy behind it? And just kind of probably having some intention and purpose around it versus just having it, like what Siri was saying, just as a goal of like, oh, I want to get out of production. And if you do, great. Why? And then what do you want to do instead? And what does that look like? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what do you have in place to make sure that you can do that? Because, I mean, agent productivity, you have to make sure that you have agents that are going to be pulling the company, and their production will be pulling the company, along. Because the goal is to have your production, or, my production, go into my account, not me paying for the company. You need to have the company run itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we went on a month-long trip like Beth did and I wasn't there, would it run? Could I come back and jump right back in to sell homes? That's the goal, is to have control over all of that.
All right.
Any questions?
Yeah,
for you
questions.
guys?
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry I was late. I apologize. My name is Mike. I'm a newer agent at Real. Just the last couple of weeks I joined. I was with I've been licensed for about 3.5 years, and I was with KW up here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And in the last 6 months, I had joined a team, and it happened to also be a place team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anybody here is involved with them or is familiar with them. And
I'm familiar.
I've had, and I really appreciate this meeting too, because I haven't been exposed to this level of pre-planning if you're thinking about joining a team, and the dynamics that all you guys go through. And I appreciate it, because down the road, that is kind of a goal of mine. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that I'm just not this head floating around here. And I'm also on Thanksgiving, my wife broke her ankle on Thanksgiving, and so she's working from home. I'm working from home. I'm also sort of like her assistant and her nurse today. So I'm running back and forth. So
You're a good husband. That's good.
Trying. Anyway, the place is a mess, but it'll be cleaned up by the afternoon. So anyway, so I just wanted to let you know where I was at and who I
Yeah.
was. But but the team the team I was on, and I'm not making any judgments about somebody who's on a place team, because I know they're throughout brokerages, but it felt as a team member, and I only joined the team because of the team leader. That was the person that I respected enough to say, yeah, I think I could do this, because I was really determined to be a solo agent. So for perspective from somebody that's considering joining a team, I didn't realize it at the time, but it's like I felt like I was on a team within a brokerage within a brokerage. And it just felt like all the layers in the information were conflicting. And that was one of the things I didn't really care for in that scenario. So I'm on a quest to kind of just learn, like, how people who run really efficient teams what their attitudes are, and like you're talking about, providing choices and explaining what your costs are. And I understand all that and appreciate it. So anyway, that's my background. And I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thanks. Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for joining and us knowing who you are, um and we'll see you one day here with your screen on. I I one thing I can add to that, because I see what you're saying, that you, again, you don't want to make it too complicated. It sounds to me like you're on a team that was just a little bit conflicting and confusing. I also, what I have added in this year specifically is transparency. And so we are a very transparent team. We make sure that we show our agents what's going on. I mean, obviously, I don't like give them my P&L or anything like that, but we really try to make it clear that they understand where their money's going, why they're here, what we offer. We try to give a clear vision at the beginning of the year. How is this going to look? Obviously, we have a few changes. I think that really gives a person that wants to be on a team the comfort. Somebody who wants to be on a team wants to have a plug and play comfort level where they can go work and still have a coddling and a backing of their team members to support them. And so if it gets too confusing, it's not going to work. You have to have a really solid, transparent system in place for your team members to thrive and continue with you.
Yeah, and what you just described is exactly, I think, what kind of solidified my decision. I mean, I was looking to kind of make a brokerage change anyway, but I just realized that I figured I'd give it 6 months in the beginning. And
Yeah.
at that point, I decided, the timing, end of the year, it's a good time, make the change. I know and have some good friends that have moved over to Real, and so I've been getting a lot of information. So that it was
Yeah.
just the timing all worked out well, but for the team dynamic, I mean, it was a little disappointing. I mean, I like what she's built there for that team. It's a small team. I think they have 6 agents left now, but yeah, it was and it's from an agent perspective. If it's not explained well, it feels like a really expensive split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all about the agent doing some homework and learning about teams versus being a solo agent, and then teams doing a good job of breaking it down and helping them understand what those costs are, because especially if it's a new agent, they may have no idea. So
Yeah.
they don't even have a frame of reference to relate to as far as what marketing expenses might cost, or just everything in the background, your TC, just everything. So and I appreciated that. So they had, like on our team, in that team, they had it set up where um your leads, your sphere, was 50-50, and then team provided leads, they use Brivity, Brivity's owned by Place, so that's the CRM, and that all of the paid ads, that all comes through. Those provided leads were 35% for the agent. So, and then you still had your KW brokerage split, and then their
Mm-hmm.
royalty and everything else. So when you did the math, you realize it's a big trade-off, but you saw, I saw the value and everything they provide, and I thought, I'm willing to give this a shot, but I think a lot of people don't get it explained well, and
Yeah, I think that's an important part too. When we do onboarding, it, I mean, this has been a growth pattern, and I'm sure you do too with Beth with this. We have it really broken down visually and in writing for them of what they're getting. Like we have it all mapped out for them. I want to make sure everything's covered, that they are comfortable when they come on.
And understanding splits and understanding that. And I think sometimes what's difficult too is like there's a lot of great team leaders who are great agents, great producers. They're great people. And maybe, one of the benefits I guess Siri and I have had with the length that we've done this and just who we are is the operator side. Sometimes if you lack that, I understand a team leader's perspective is I'm going to go partner maybe with a Place or somebody like that. But it also sounds like sometimes it's just that's what Siri and I talk about is like the simplicity of it for all of you doing teams is like, you get down to making 0.5 or 0.6% on a deal because you're paying Real, because you're paying Brevity, because you're paying Place, because you're paying a team, because you're paying whatever. And pretty soon you're like, I can't make a living doing this. That doesn't work, right? Even if it's a great system. I mean, that's where the industry still isn't quite right. Like, it's not that Place doesn't have value. It's not that that doesn't have a massive cost associated with it, but it's just it's growing pains, all of this, right? And but those are things to think about from a team leader's perspective is like, what's the taxation on you as a leader, on the business, on the agent, and does it all make sense? And then do align with it so that it feels like when Siri and I came to Real, I'm just speaking for you, Siri, but like I really aligned with Real's culture and values. It was almost identical to what I was about. And so there's a complete alignment. So it doesn't feel like, okay, I'm hearing this here, and then I go here and I'm hearing this, and there's like a disconnect. It's like it's the
100%.
same, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I think that's something that you're kind of speaking to too, that's tough. But
Yeah.
it
And
shows
Mike,
that you're
you'll either find a new home in maybe another team, or like what you are in right now, you're gathering information to go create what works for you. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so I've gone through just many webinars, trainings over the years, just scouring information and what are people doing, and then making it my own, kind of thing. But I think what you said, Beth, like I was the same way with Real. I was like, I always one of our core values before I even knew Real was Real. There we had five, and Real was one of them. And my favorite quote was, "Work hard, be kind, and good things will happen." And so obviously, when I found Real, I was like, "Hello," But you got to find the right community, and
And
once you get that
partners.
community and partners, or you go create it and it blended in with your environment. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
What did we have next?
I know. So in
For
June, we just prepared for doing a good media review. And this is one, hopefully we can save some time since it's we got 10 minutes left of always something you should do at end of year. We're at this exact same juncture right now is like that mid-year review is taking time, just like all of you guys are doing, to reflect. And like we've even heard on this call is like, am I going to commit to what I'm doing? Am I going to make adjustments for next year? Taking a look at marketing goals, your brand. I mean, this is all stuff we just talked about right now, but it's 2 times a year. I really think at a minimum, you really need to do that kind of deep dive into your business and make these adjustments and plans. So that's what we talked about in June in preparation for mid-year, which is in July.
Yeah, and then
And
September we
September.
rolled into some fun stuff. I mean, it's all fun, but this is fun to me. Technology and tools for efficiency. So, what kind of technology are we using? Again, we've gone from having a lot to having less, and that's been very helpful. But how do we make sure that we produce the same, it says in here, clarity and tech-enabled performance for all of our team members, to make sure that we're all beating to the same drum, that we train them, that we understand what they're using, that we don't make it too complicated. So that's really what September was about, and we showed, kind of our stack of what we did there.
And I just want to say with tech again, right, Siri? I know Siri feels the same way. We're in the same spot. Is I say no a lot more times than I say yes. There is so much tech out there and systems
Hmm.
and programs and things that
I do
sound
now. I do now.
right.
I
You and I
didn't at
both, right?
first.
Yeah, but it's like, when I look at some of the basic things that we're not even achieving as a team, it's like, man, we don't need to add something else. Like this is just
Mm-mm.
more now, more work, more confusion, more systems, more another
Yeah.
whole thing to learn where it's like trying to always from a team perspective. I think Sierra and I would stand by this for years to come is like, what do we really need? Is it really a pain point? And we're going to pick a tech platform to solve this for us. It's going to be a win and make it efficient. And we're going to get adoption before we just keep adding more tech, right? It's so
Yeah.
easy to add these subscriptions on and you can create a big mess.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. All right, October. So October, we had a really great year of events. So I made it a point in 2023. So around this time of the year, 2023, I got an event planner. I went all in on events this year. And you can see these are snapshot at the bottom here is our view of mine. And then Beth, I know you have a few things over here that you guys did too, and we just had fun. And so, again, we mapped this stuff out now. And what we're doing right now is working on events, client and team events. We are going to scale back a little bit more this year in what we do. We kind of saw what worked and what didn't. So we also are getting all of our sponsors and all the money now, and just really making sure that the team knows exactly what they have coming for them, because a lot of us don't. I know you guys, I think, are probably in a little bit more in the office together, maybe Beth. Ours, not so much. We're a little, or no, not really. I mean, I think it's changed since COVID, but like our agents, we really don't see them as much anymore. So these things are important. These things are very important to make sure that you keep that culture piece intact. So that's what we went over.
We went over that,
Whatever
honestly,
you,
just like you, this is that perfect time of year that we just laid out, at least trying to get solid on the first half of the year, but a pretty good plan for the whole year for our social
yeah,
events. But just like you said, these are really important when you're growing a team. We talked in this about what we do for our clients, what we do for community, what we do for the individuals, but this is the time of year to set that up, just like you said, Sari. Ditto. That's
yeah,
exactly where we're at.
yep. Getting
Meetings
it
and
all
events
nailed out. Get
plan.
the money up
Mhm.
front. Get your
Yep.
sponsors involved. They want to be there. Um, and then last month, and I'll let you take this one, Beth, because I know this is near and dear to your heart.
A little
And
crazy about it. I'm gonna try and be
you're
more
crazy
positive
about it.
today.
I know. I'm like the one that's like, yeah, okay, you guys just put your numbers in. We're moving on. But no, I learned a lot from you on this one. A lot. So this was really a great business planning
Yeah.
session.
So I'm kind of an insane planner. But I think that, like I said, right now, we talked about the importance of business planning, and November was about from the perspective of a team leader, like how do you do that with your team? And right now I can just say, there's this whole month, especially the last 3-4 weeks, there's and even 2 weeks into January when we come back, there's a lot that goes into planning the year, taking all this data that we're gonna got from business planning. Cause like I said, we start in October doing our business planning because it takes me until middle of November to end of November to get the plans, to then have December to base our team and budget off of it. So again, that was a good one too, and something that if you have questions during this time of year and during planning season, you can always DM me or send a work message on Work Vivo and be happy to offer. I will try to, I'm tempering it today because I totally geek out on it. So and saving for time for the end, right? And the end is like thinking about next year. And so, we kind of talked about a little bit ahead time for 2024, and it was a lot that we went over. And looking at 2025 and kind of the list we have, we want to hear from you as far as what do you want us to cover? Because I think that both of us have a wealth of knowledge and experience and mistakes and all of those things to share. We do have a plan, but would love to hear specifically what would be of most help to you.
Yeah. Any
You
thoughts?
don't even know what to ask.
So for me right now, it's just getting acclimated with Real and rebranding myself as I can see, from Remax and everything with a balloon.
Yeah.
So, which I spent a lot of money on those signs, but now you got to do it with the other one. So, it's just getting myself settled into where I'm going to be, and focusing on myself right now before I start bringing other people on board.
Yeah.
Hopefully, middle of next year, I want to plan like a third quarter type of deal with 2 or 3 agents that were on my old team. So, got some stuff in the mix, but we're still, 6 months out before we decide to do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, you're gonna probably need, just information on like, you're probably gonna be looking at hiring somebody to help complement you. So what does that look like? How do you do the ads around that? What's their job description? Um, Setting up a P&L, like, do you have that in place? What do you need to track? Making sure you have all the business in place. Those would probably be important things for you as you're growing into those early stages. Maybe having a place where people go at some point, maybe the end of the year or something like that, where people can gather. I'm just kind of thinking out loud of the early days of what I went
Right.
through when I decided that it's time to start the team. CRM, get that in place. you know.
And my niche is hyper focused. It's mostly helping seniors downsizing, um, estate
Nice.
services. So I have people that do wills. I have attorneys that I send people to, what's it called? Nursing
Yeah.
homes, retirement communities, things like that. My partner does estate auctions. So he'll go through and remove any, antiques or just belongings, get rid of them if the individual has passed, remove all the products in the home, and then we end up
Yeah.
selling the home. So
Fun.
it's very
We
hyper
do stuff
focused.
like that. We do that. We actually created a side company, my partner and I, called the Brand Design, and we work a lot with life events. And we
Okay.
have a vendor set up to go in and help a lot of it's life event sales, right? So you need vendors to go in and take it off their plate, and where do they go, and how do you help the family and all that. So I that speaks to me. So if you ever
Mhm.
have any questions, let me know.
That's like the majority of real estate for the next
Yeah.
20 years, right? Is all these people that stay in the
Life
home
events. Hmm.
to
Mhm.
the point either they died and their kids have it, or it's complete almost the properties is in a little bit of disrepair and just kind of deferred maintenance from staying in the home so long. And that's going to
Yeah.
be massive, like the next 10, 20.
Ooh. I could do a training on this one on what we're doing because we created some things around this year. That would be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to work for retirement communities um, in Arizona when I used to live there. So I'm very familiar with helping individuals in that aspect. So that's what I
Cool.
started with when I moved up here, is to get that going.
Nice. Anything else that you guys can think of that you want to see? I know we've got some good growth going on. Stevie, as you're like getting going, if you guys see something that you're like, hey, you know what, you haven't covered this. This is a pain point.
Yeah, I
Like,
think for me, stepping into the role of running the team, is going to be a big shift.
maybe
Um,
some of our, maybe we can get some of our, like, you know, like Keely, you would be Keely on my team, or just to have more of that kind of
yeah,
support for you guys. Yeah.
yeah, I just, like, and I'm not in production. I haven't been in production for a little while. And so just stepping into the leadership role and then also not being in production with our agents is just kind of a weird position to be in, I feel like. So that's kind of where I'll be
You'll do great.
figuring it
Yeah,
out,
you can do it.
Figuring it out. Yep. Um, all right. Well, I'd say, Mike, I think we're running out of time here, but if you guys have any thoughts on anything that you want to see, like Beth said, we have a list, but we can move things around, make some changes, make some additions. So just reach out for you guys and anybody listening if there's anything specific that you want to see behind the curtain on what we do. And we can
Do you guys
definitely
have
do
like a
that.
little space on WorkVio? Do you use WorkVio much that we could like
I'm,
collaborate with stuff too?
oh, we
Not
haven't done.
really.
Nothing
I
like
Yeah,
that.
we haven't.
I created when we were in Workplace, but it's transferred over to WorkVivo, a like admin and operations group that's not super active, but I'm happy to like hand that over to y'all, help facilitate it, whatever. It's essentially like ops people and team leaders and admin that have joined already. So if you wanted to build a little piece of the world, I'll make you guys admins.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, what's my
Like,
level of commitment right now? But yeah.
even just to like,
You never
like
know.
continue
Yeah.
the conversation in there. I mean, that it's just a place that already exists if
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one
use
of
it.
your
Yeah.
slides was about tech and about advancing in tech
Yeah.
if you needed to. And I use what's called free up. And that frees up a lot of the mundane stuff of like keeping tabs on anniversaries, on birthdays, holidays. And you set it up and it does the emails for you. It triggers itself based on when the individual signs up. So they're not getting a New Year's post in September, even though I did it by accident. Don't tell everybody. But when it works correctly, it sends them, um, marriage anniversaries for themselves, their birthdays, happy birthdays, and it sends them emails. You can even set it up to where it'll send them gifts. So I work with a company that does custom like popcorn, and it sends them an email. Hey, this person's birthday is in 2 weeks. I need a small gift bag sent to them, and it automatically does it. And I don't have to do anything. It pays for it, the shipping and all that jazz. So I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, that's gifting. I mean, that would be another one too. Like how do you client retention of gifting or anniversaries, keeping track of all that. It's a good one
Mhm.
too. We'll circle back on that one. We don't really have
Okay.
anything, right now. I think just, chat us through, just chat and work Vivo or
Yeah.
whatever questions, whatever.
I'll say
Yeah.
I watched the team leader one, I watched the Zillow group, and I watched the Minnesota group. And so it's not that I'm not active and I've thought about it, but it just those are like a commitment, I think, to get a really robust community. It takes like a bunch of people, like you said, communicating, but we're here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're here for specifics. So,
Exactly.
well, thank you,
Thank
everybody. I'll wrap it up now. And everybody, I guess we'll see you guys. We're going to be on the second January 8th, since the first of the month falls on the January 1st. We moved it to the 8th. So that will be the next time that we see you guys in 2025.
And
So,
talking about just how to kick the year off.
yeah,
And
And
it's
that's a Wednesday, Siri.
it is. I will show up with pink, okay?
Okay.
Now that I know.
Okay, perfect.
Learn
Wow.
something every day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
bye
All
everybody.
right.
Thanks, guys. This
Happy
was great.
holidays, everyone. All
Thank
right,
you.
you're
Happy
welcome.
holidays.
See ya. Bye.